all you draw is what you physically see when you cut a part in half. So if I were to have any object you wanted, you know, we could take a gear, we could take a piston, we could take any part you've drawn so far. If we were to cut that in half, remove part of it, and then draw what you see, it'd all be solid lines, right? Whereas if you had the part on the front, they'd all be hidden lines, correct? So in section drawing, you do away with all hidden lines and just draw what you see. That's the nice thing about it, because we've done a couple of drawings where there's a view that's just made up of massive hidden lines, isn't there? And you have no idea what those hidden lines are all for.
Much lower.
And so that's what a section drawing is all about, okay? So we're going to draw the shifter block first. We're going to draw that together in AutoCAD. Now, we drew that this morning in 1010 and Inventor as we introduced you to, section drawing Inventor, but we're going to draw it in AutoCAD now. And we're going to learn some very, very critical concepts. And so we're going to follow this through together as the directions call for it. And then we're going to figure out how to fix, and we're going to learn how to fix after making a mistake, how to fix a very big problem out there in industry right now. Okay? So,
We have the paper on it.
they're right here. Yeah. So, in the shifter block, now we've talked about machining processes, things that you would do. When did I tell you normally we drill holes? At the end, right? Well, in this situation, on the shifter block, what do you think the first feature would be to drill out? If you were to build the shifter block, it's the upper left-hand corner, what do you think would be the first thing you would do to start getting the shifter block? Whatever's the most down. Okay, so
you probably would drill a hole first.
we probably would drill a hole first on this one, right?
Yeah.
And then the slot coming into the hole, right? Then maybe your keyway, and then the hole, and then the chamfers at the end, right?
Yeah. What kind of, okay. That's interesting, they can make that square piece, the keyway.
Uh-huh.
What kind of tool do they use for that?
They actually have you can actually do that with an inverted cutter going down the side.
Oh.
Or you can actually have like a mortise and tenon tool, something that's square, go down. Okay. And so, but anyway, we talked about keyways in here, and everyone understands how keyways work. I know you guys did talk about it this morning. Does everyone understand how keyways work?
We'll go over it again.
Okay.
It's just like a dovetail, right?
Kind of, yes. So when you have a keyway, all a keyway is, it's a mating device to mate like a shaft and a gear together, right? It's kind of a little square key, something like that. You just insert into a couple of keyways. That's why it's called a keyway. Okay. Now, if I had two shaft right here now, with the center line right through here, okay? And if I wanted to, if I had to put a keyway in here, what I would do is the center point of my keyway right here would be the center point there. It'd be on the quadrant point of my shaft. Does that make sense? On that quadrant point. Keyways are usually square, and so this is how a keyway is dimensioned, usually 0.4, 5.2 keyway. Okay, so that means that 0.4 is the overall width, 0.2 is half of it.
On this one, they're switched from the other one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 0.2 is the what?
Well, 0.2 is what at 0.4? Half of it. So that means that from here to here is 0.2, from here to here is 0.4. That's all it's signifying. That is it. Now, on the other drawing that you're going to do the lever hub right next to it. What's the size of keyway on the lever hub? what is the keyway note on the lever hub?
Oh, 3/8 by 3/16.
What is 3/16? What relationship is 3/16 to 3/8? It's half of it. Does that make sense? That's how keyways are specified.
Okay, so it's half of
The overall width.
Okay, so that's usually okay. So the width is the second.
And the width is the overall width, right? So this is half right there.
Because it's based on a square.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That's the thing.
And the center of that square point is on your quadrant point of your circle that you draw your keyway in.
Okay.
So from here to here's on this one would be 0.2, right? This is 0.2. This is 0.2, and this is 0.2. This is 0.4 right here, right? That's all you need to know about keyways, how to draw them.
Okay, that makes sense. So the first one is the overall of the square, and then the
Second one is half of it.
half of it.
That's it. That's all you need to know. Okay? Just like on the 3/8 and 3/16. That's 3/16. That's 3/8.
Got it.
Okay? So now we can go ahead and draw this. Now we're going to be drawing this in AutoCAD, and we'll go through the dimensioning. Now, most of you have gotten your dimensioning down really well. You get it down pretty good. Okay? Yeah, that's one of the most critical things we can do in here is teach you how to do dimension. Okay? So, the other thing, do any of you work in industry, by the way? Anyone working out in industry? Where do you work?
Oh, I'm working at Brighton.
Okay. One of the things that I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start visiting a minimum of 2 industries a month. Going out and trying to spend about half a day out in the drafting the CAD area.
Oh, cool.
And number one is I'm trying to find out all the softwares that they're using, how they're using the software, so I can bring it in here and implement it to our courses. And actually start trying to get projects from them. So instead of doing things out of the book, you know, we can bring a real part in and you can measure it and go from there, so you know what the part is being used for, stuff like that. So I'm going to start doing that. And if any of you have any industry that you ever want to work for, let me know and I'll make contact with them and try to make them one of the business for that month. So if there's anyone you want, any company you might want to go to work for, let me know and I'll see if I can get in there and make contact. Okay. So it's just kind of a heads up for you so that you know, and you're welcome to ask questions. You know, I can't take you all with me as I go in because a lot of times, you know, I'll go and sit down with a lot of other people and they don't like students a lot of times, you know, as I do that. But sometimes, you know, if it's a really good company, we'll get a field trip and go out there and go from there. Okay. So that's what I'll be starting to do, and you know, probably decide on one to go visit this week and try to make contact this week with them to go do that. Okay. Okay. So, okay, we're in AutoCAD. So let's start up AutoCAD. So you guys need to follow with us as you know what's going on, okay? You don't know anything that's going on, okay? Okay, so open up your template file first of all, okay? Okay, now to do a section drawing in your template file, we need to create us a new layer. Okay, so the layer that we're going to create, it's called a cutting plane line. So with a cutting plane line, to draw a cutting plane line, there's 2 different ways of drawing a cutting plane line. One is to draw like this. Another one is to draw it like this here. Like that, okay? Two different ways. The one I prefer and I use mainly is this one right here. Okay, and that's what we're going to create. We're going to create that type of a cutting plane line. Now, when we dimension and with hidden lines, when we create a center line, how long is our center dash in a normal center line? 1/8 of an inch. And what is our gap? 1/16. Now, when you create hidden lines on a B-size drawing, now you can see that if you draw on a D-size drawing and print it out on a B-size, it's going to be small, right? All your line types and gaps are a little bit smaller, right? Right. What your goal is, no matter what size drawing you draw and print out, you want your hidden lines to be 100% the same length. You don't want one drawing even small in your sheet and have your hidden lines really small. In the next drawing, have your hidden lines the right size. You want them all the same size. And we're going to show you how to do that on our drawings as you start turning them in. So I want you to pay very close attention to that. If you have a problem with that, let me know and I'll work with you and I'll work one-on-one to help you get that turned out. When we do a normal hidden line, how long do you think our dashes are on a normal hidden line? 1/8 of an inch. What do you think a gap is? 1/16 of an inch. Okay, now just keep that in mind. That's what a normal hidden line is. So to prove that to you, if you were to go ahead and have two lines a 1/2 inch apart, and you put a hidden line between there, how many dashes would you have? How many dashes in a 1/2 inch?
1/2 inch apart.
Now, normally, if you have two lines now that are a 1/2 inch apart, what it's going to do,
4 dashes?
3 dashes. Because
Because there's the 16.
here's an 8, 8, 8, 1/16, 1/16 is equal to what?
8.
A 1/2 inch. Does that make sense? And so that kind of verifies. The what?
Are you saying two hidden lines are overlapping?
No.
No.
You have two parallel lines, and if you have a hidden line going between the two lines,
Oh, okay.
it's a 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
And that's an 8, that's an 8, that's an 8, that's a 16th, that's a 16th. The 16th and the 16th is an 8, so you have 4 eighths, which is a 1/2 inch, right? So that lets you know what a standard hidden line is built up of. Does that make sense? And so you can prove that to you on a drawing. When we create a section line, though, everything is twice the size. Everything. So, how long should our dash be here? 1/4. What about our gap? That makes sense? We're just doubling the size.
For the size sheet of paper or for this specific hidden line?
The lines. These dashes. Here we decided they were an 1/8, right?
Yeah.
Here we're saying they're 1/4. We're just doubling the size.
Okay.
That's all we're saying.
And that's going to be our new hidden line?
Our new cutting plane line.
Cutting plane line. Okay.
Because we're doing section views, we have to add a new layer onto your template.
Okay, so I have a thing up.
Okay? Now, normally when we put a dimension on a drawing now, how big is our arrowhead? What's the length of our arrowhead on a normal dimension? 1/8 of an inch, 0.125, right? On a section drawing, how big do you think our arrow needs to be? 1/4. Does that make sense? Everything is just twice the size that you're used to drawing.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to show you how to set all that up so it's all automatic for you. Okay, so first of all, let's get into AutoCAD and go to layers and create us a new layer called cut. We'll just call it cutting. Okay. Okay. So if you open the layer command, hit that first little icon to create a new layer and call it cutting. Okay. Now, on the cutting plane, go to line type. Okay. I want you to go to load. So line type and then load. Okay. Now, if you scroll down to the H's, now remember, we use hidden 2 right there for our hidden lines, right?
Hit load?
Load, yes. Line, did you have line type?
Load. Sorry, now I got it.
Go down to the H's. So line cut, just put right there. Now load. Now go down to the H's.
Hidden 2 or hidden F2.
Okay, now we draw with hidden 2 lines, with the middle one right there. Which one of those 2 lines, either hidden or hidden times 2, looks double what hidden 2 line is? Which one?
Hidden times 2.
Well, actually.
Whoa, be careful now.
Actually.
Look at it. Look at the relationship. We want it double the size of hidden 2.
Okay,
Actually, the plain
old hidden looks like
That's
this.
the
right.
plain hidden, yeah.
That's right. You see that?
In the title, it says hidden times 2.
But that is the line type we're going to be using for our section, our cutting plane.
Okay.
So I want you to click on that, just hidden. Right there and hit OK. Now this is where a lot of students make a mistake. If I hit OK, what type of line type am I going to be using right now? Continuous. Which one do I want to use? Just hidden, right? And then hit OK. So that changes to hidden. Right? Did everyone get that okay? Okay. Now, your cutting plane line is your thickest line on your drawing. We have object lines. What's the thickness of our object lines? 0.5. So for your cutting plane line, you're going to use a 0.6 for the line weight. So go to line weight right there and hit 0.6 right there and hit OK. That makes sense to everybody? Scroll down till you see it. Okay, so you have 0.6 for your cutting plane line. Okay, so you've just created your new layer, and this should be on your template layer now, right? That's where I told you to be, right?
Do you want the color to stay white?
You can change the color to any color you want.
What would be your preference?
Anything that shows up good for students. How's that? And I'll probably change my colors because I'm going to use, let's see, I've got cyan for center, blue doesn't show up. Maybe this one right here, magenta. I'm going to make mine magenta. Okay? And
My layer's magenta is already hidden layer.
okay.
Yellow is dimension.
So did everybody get your layer created for you? Okay, now we can start drawing. Okay. Okay. Now I need to do one quick thing because I never saved my templates. I just need to hurry and quickly go through this and change my settings here.
So we just hit save. Right?
Uh-huh.
Say
I
that
had a couple things I wanted to change
say
in my
that there's a
template.
template.
Is it cool to do your text annotation, 0.3, but it's 0.9? So I keep going back and having to do that when I'm dimensioning.
Your gap, you mean?
Yeah.
Anything you want to do.
How do I get there without having a dimension already?
Now what now?
No, never mind. I'll do it another time.
Well, if you want to change it, you can change it right there in your overall.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to just go to my object layer here. I want to change my color. Let's see, object, yellow. That's good. So I'm going to make that yellow. Okay, so we're going to go to my object layer right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw a rectangle because we're just drawing our front top right side view. Okay, now how do I get rid of my fat lines? Right now I got a big fat ugly line up there, don't I? How do I get rid of it? Someone tell me how to get rid of that.
Little menu on the bottom right.
The very bottom right, the 3 bars, it's called customization. Now, in your template file, do not be afraid to go in there and experiment with what these different tabs are. If it's something you think you might use, add it into your template so you build it into your template. Okay? So that's why it's called customization. You can build it any way you want. So hit the 3 bars right there. So these are all the different things. Now, it might be helpful to have coordinates up there, right? Showing you the X and Y coordinates of your cursor, correct? See, I don't have coordinates checked on my customization, do I? All I have to do is put a check right there, and then I want line weight. You see what I'm saying? Okay. We actually put units on if we wanted to also. See, all we're doing is building units down here. So see, here's my XY. So if I click there, see now I have right there, I have the XY coordinates of my cursor jumping around. Does that make sense to you now? Now, if you don't like that or don't want that, you can turn it off just by going back to customization. So don't be afraid to see what those things do. Are you with me there, okay? But to get rid of my fat ugly line, you see the 3 little bars here, right here. If it's blued in, it's on. We want to turn show, hide, line weight. We want to check that so it's not bold, not blued, whatever you want to call it, you know. And now we're back to just a thin line. Much easier to draw with and visualize with a thin line. So can you see the yellow okay? Is that okay of a line to use for my object line? Mm-hmm. Okay. The what?
Okay, for everybody if I click on the left bit.
That's fine. You can do anything you want. How's that?
Anything?
You see better now. That's good there. Thanks. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and draw this as this drawing calls for right here. Okay. You've got to be careful. We've got to follow these instructions explicitly. Okay. So first of all, let me ask you a question. This hole right here in the top view, where is the hole located up and down this way? 1.38. Up and down. Up and down.
Up and down.
It's 1.38, yes, over this way, but up and down, where is that hole located?
1.315.
Yeah, I think it's in the half, in like half of the height.
Whoa, follow these dimensions.
Yeah, 1.315, right?
Where does it say 1.315? I'm trying to get you to follow these instructions explicitly.
It actually does.
It doesn't. I'm going to show you. I'm trying to drive a point home is what I'm trying to do. Okay? So, what? You don't see 1835 on your drawing, do you? I want you to follow the dimensions on here. That's what I want you to do. Are you with me? Okay? So we're going to draw it this way because I'm trying to drive a point home when you start looking at another drawing. So you don't run into the problem that we're going to find out that exists in this drawing. Okay, and you guys already know where I'm going on this. So I want you to draw it just like it calls for right here. Okay? So let's explode this right here. And let's start drawing it. So the height of this is 1.88, right? So it's offset 1.88. The width is 4.38, right? And the depth of it is 2.63. Okay, so there's my boxes right there. So let's trim those out.
1.63.
2.63.
Oh, 2.6.
So get our boxes here, move them in so we can.
Jeez, this must have been a metric.
Just like that. Okay? So get your boxes there. So the depth of it is 2.63. So you can come down 2.63. Take this line here, come down, and then this line here, flip, and then this line come over. And just hit the space bar. Yep. Again. There you go. Now trim them out. Okay. And the top down. Click there. Space.
Oh, wait, that's 1.88 from the.
That's the height. Height is right here.
Okay.
So space. 1.88. Enter. Pick the bottom, come up. There, you've got your view. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do on our drawing is we're going to drill our hole on this particular drawing. Okay, so let's draw us a line now from here to here to get our diagonal, because we're going to use that to project from our right side view up to our top view, correct? Okay, so the hole, I'm going to draw that in the top view, right? Now, what I want to do now is where they have that center line, they're referencing from the center line down and then up to get the slot also and to find the hole, right? So on that hole, I would say let's go from the midpoint to the midpoint right there, midpoint of this line over to the midpoint of this line right here, okay? And then I'm going to offset this line 1.38 because that's what it's telling me to do, isn't it? Right there. So we do this line from midpoint to midpoint. We offset this line 1.38 because that's exactly what the drawing is telling me to do. Exactly. Now, don't change the dimensions. You got to follow the drawing. Then we're going to draw a hole here. The diameter of that hole is 1.375, isn't it? So go to circle, center diameter. Come over here to the intersection or midpoint here and go 1.375.
Just slow it down a little bit. midpoint. See, you don't have midpoint checked, right? So how do you turn that on? Hit escape. Hit escape. Okay. Okay, hit cancel. That's snap. You're in snap. Just type in O snap. Do center 2 and do quadrant. You'll need quadrant on this one. Hit it OK. Now draw your line. Spacebar. Now do your offset 1.38, right? Offset for what? Right there, 1.38. We'll find that center point.
Did you just turn on midpoint to find the?
Yes, that's all I did. Yeah. Because it's centered, it's a center line coming through here. That's right. To the circle, it's in the center of that box. Okay. We're going to teach you one really critical concept. Okay. You guys got that okay? Okay. So now let's finish that hole in the other views now. Okay. So if I drew a line now from this quadrant point here. And we're going to trim these out here. Okay. And we're going to change those to hidden lines right there. Okay. Now, as we start drawing these things, all I'm doing is using the line command in the space bar, and you should be about that fast. So, space. Okay. Now extend, EX for extend. Enter. Pick these bottom 2 lines here. Enter. Now pick the bottom point right here. Come over here. Click there. Enter. Got them all extended. Now space bar. Now TR for trim. Go to the space bar again. Okay, TR for trim. Pick these top 2 lines now. Enter. Now pick the point here. There. And clear over here now. Click there. There. See how fast that works? Now hit the space bar. Now, we want to pick these lines here, so pick the point here, come over to here, now pick a point here, come over to here, go up there and change it to hidden. You got it.
Well,
actually, that's exactly what I did up there. See how much faster that is for you? That's what I want you to get to the point where you can do that. So fill the box around so you don't have to individually pick it. So hit escape.
You mean
okay?
Like
So
this one?
Yep. Now, yep, and then come over here.
Okay.
Now, just change it so you don't have to individually pick each line. Okay, so that's feature number 1 now, isn't it? Okay, now feature number 2 is going to be our slot going into that hole. Okay. So what view do you want to draw that slot in? Okay, now. It won't show that complete slot in one view only. We have to use the top and the right side view together. We can get the width of it on the top view, but we can't get the depth on our top view. We have to have the right side view to get our depth of it, correct? So we can go ahead now and offset this line up a half inch and then offset that line down an inch, right?
Half inch down.
Okay, but now, question for you. It's teaching you a critical concept here now. A supercritical dimensioning concept, okay? So they gave you a, with this being a hidden line here, they gave you a dimension here of a half, right?
0.44 actually.
And then this at 1 inch right there, right?
0.22.
What?
No,
Wait,
What?
hold on, the slot. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's a half inch up and then an inch
I'm sorry.
down, right?
Yep, I thought we were talking about the keyway. I got excited.
Now, question for you. Why didn't they give you just another half inch right there?
There's a tolerance or?
Exactly. So I'm trying to teach you something by how drawing should be dimensioned. You're gonna learn another critical dimensioning concept.
so the 1 inch should be basic dimension?
No.
Yeah, so they gave the overall
Right.
and then.
They gave us up here to get this one and then down from there, right?
Other way around, but yeah, they gave us the overall and the bottom.
Well, they give you a half and 1 inch, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which order. It gave you those two dimensions, right?
Okay, for some reason I thought the way it was ordered would be the place where it could be slopped. I don't know.
So you wanted to put it like this here? You want to put the 1 inch here and then the half inch here? Is that what you wanted?
Nope, they just said it's a 1 inch overall with a 0.5 from the bottom up.
From the bottom up.
So from the bottom of the
He's-
slot
he's
to the
saying
center.
that
it's
Oh, you're
0.5.
just saying that instead of this one here, I put this one here. It's the same concept, isn't it?
Mike,
I guess so. I just am not really clear on like.
Well,
we're trying to dump the.
if I had a half inch here, a half inch here, does it mean the same thing?
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why they have the overall 1 inch.
Okay, we'll leave it this way then. If
Okay.
it's gonna be confusing at all.
Mike,
Yes.
I want to go back to, how did we figure out the middle line, the horizontal line?
Because the center line means center point, midpoint.
No, I know, but on the drawing, as you pointed out, we're not given that information.
Right, but the
How-
center line here meets the midpoint here, through here.
Oh, center line means.
That's
the
right, you
midpoint?
bet,
Okay.
you bet.
See, I'm glad I asked that question.
Yes. Okay, that's the reason why.
Good.
Okay, so basically, the width of that slot has one tolerance, doesn't it? One and only one tolerance, the actual width of the slot, right?
And let's talk about that a little bit. So.
Well, look, how wide is it? How wide is it?
1 inch wide.
1 inch. It's
Give or
from
take,
there to
whatever.
there, right? That can vary that way, right?
Yeah.
But it has one tolerance, doesn't it?
When we get to.
We're
the- what
basically,
tolerance
we
between
basically
a-
don't need
a
to
piece
put,
and a piece on the bottom of the drawing. once it's printed,
Okay,
right?
so let's do that then.
we basically don't need to put 0.5 twice.
Exactly.
Right.
So we have this right here now, with the center line coming through here, right? We have that as a half inch, right?
Yeah.
Now that could move maybe down to here, right? Correct?
Yeah.
With the tolerance on it, right? Okay, let's say it moves down to here.
What do you mean by move?
The tolerance, it can be vary, right?
When it's
Yeah,
been
so like
machined.
as the.
That's
drill
a
bit,
tolerance.
Like fingerly wiggles on a microscope.
Well, could you mill this exactly, 100% a half inch?
No,
No, so it varies a little bit, right?
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It varies a little bit.
okay.
So it could come down maybe to here, right?
Oh, that's what that second line, yeah. So if you looked at it with a little really close
Exactly.
eye, you'll see little waves.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
But so what, yeah, I just wonder where they're dumping the slop at, so, cause like,
Well, let me show you. That's what I'm trying to show you. So if I go from here now, I come up 1 inch, right?
off of the outside of the tolerance.
Off of here, because that's where, once you do that, you see what I'm trying to get at?
A
The
little bit.
slot now can vary a little bit plus or minus 5 thousandths, right?
Yeah,
But
oh,
that slot could move a little bit, right?
yeah, because you put the 1 inch on the outside of the tolerance and the 1/2 inch on the inside of
Exactly.
the
That's
tolerance.
all I'm trying to show you.
Okay.
So when you-
knowing the tolerance in your drawing for.
And look at your title block. There's a tolerance in your title block, isn't there? If you look at your title
our
page,
title block, yeah.
exactly,
In the drawing.
exactly.
This could be like 2,000 short on the one.
Right, but we can control the slot, right? It's controlled with that 1 inch dimension, right?
Yeah, and then who knows what that.
It could
Stop
move a
to
little
be.
bit, right? But we're controlling the overall width instead of having, if we went down a 1/2 inch, it could come down here, and if we put a dimension here, it could go up here, right? So we have two tolerances
I'm
now
not
that we can be
disagreeing
off.
with you. I'm just saying that there's no magic. When you put in the one, when you drill out the one, it could be plus or minus.
5,000, say.
And then when you measure the 0.5, if that's how you do it, there's tolerances there, even though
Right.
it's a set thing.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
there's no magic there.
Right,
And all that non-magic finds its way into that top spot.
right, right.
Yeah.
That's why you don't put a half here and a half here. You put one to dimension
Overall.
here and then an overall. So when you have a slot, I want you to dimension that way. This is showing you how to dimension it.
Okay, so it's not pulling the measuring tape off one side of the thing, 1 inch overall.
No, we're going from the center
So
point,
it's 1 inch plus or minus with a 1/2 inch.
from the center point.
It could actually be larger.
From the center point.
It could be if it was on the plus side, yes.
So you're pulling the measuring tape off the center point.
Yes. You're coming down a half and then measuring an inch up, right?
Oh.
But I don't really
Why an
understand
inch?
because if you set up to cut an inch slot,
It's
you're
an
cutting
inch
an inch
overall.
slot.
So if you go 1/2 and an inch, that'd be an inch and a half.
Right, but that inch is measured from where this 1/2 inch is down here, right?
Oh, thank you.
It's not measured, doesn't say it's symmetrical around this, it's measured from that 1/2 inch down, right?
I mean, when it's milling.
But
Okay.
when the machine
The
goes
bit-
through, it's gonna be 1 inch.
Well, even the 1 inch is gonna have a tolerance.
Well, I'm saying is when it's machining, it's going to be machined at 1 inch.
But it's gonna have a tolerance
It's gonna
on
be
that.
attempted to be
It
machined
won't
at
be
1 inch.
exactly 1 inch.
That's right.
Exactly.
So I don't understand the 0.5 being in there at all.
That's
That's
it.
the tolerance, 1 inch plus or minus a little, right? It has to be within a tolerant zone.
0.5 isn't. We don't have tolerances on here.
I think the 0.5 is.
Every
is-
dimension, if you look at your title block, there's a tolerance block on your title block, isn't there?
Okay, so
So we do, don't we?
Mike, if I say that the 0.5 is an indication of the slot in relationship to the center of the hole,
Yeah, you could say that.
that, the total width of the slot is, 1
Mhm.
inch plus or minus the tolerance, and 0.5 is relationship to the center plus or minus the tolerance.
that 1 inch is just the center mark.
1 inch is what the width of that slot has to be measured on. And it can vary a little bit according to the tolerance. So it could be 0.995 or 1.005, anywhere in between there. That's what it's telling us. Okay? Because we're just doing plus or minus 5 thousandths. Okay? So let's go ahead now. If you guys have problems, I'll go over this with you later after we draw this, okay? So the concept is we've got our hole now in all three views, right? Let's do our slot now. So our slot, we're going to offset this a 1/2 inch and then an inch up, right? So offset 0.5 and then offset 1 inch from here up, correct? And then trim this off right. I'm going to trim it here first and then trim it to here. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, Now, let's get this slot now in the right side view. So I'm going to draw a line now from here out to here, from here out to here, and drop this from here down, and from here down to here. And then we're going to trim this off on our top right here. And then how far up does it come from the bottom? What's this distance here?
0.63.
0.63. So offset 0.63. Right there, and then I'm just going to use my fill command. Clean this up right here. So there's your slot in the top view and the right side view. Okay? Now let's draw the slot in our front view. So we know that it comes over here somewhere, right? How many of you agree with that?
That's cutting out something there. Three. Doesn't show up very well, but it's there.
But it shows that. That's correct, isn't it?
You round it.
It's what?
I see. You got that.
So that's the hole in this slot right here. Okay? Now we're just drawing it like we would normally draw it to begin with, okay? These should be hidden lines, but don't worry because we're going to make them all
Is this
solid.
is the front looking a little weird because we're doing a cross section cutting?
No,
Why
we're going to end up cutting this out right here. And then you're going to draw what you see looking at this part of it right here.
how about the front side? I'm a little confused on that. Should that be a hidden line on your front side?
Right here.
Yeah. Or and that those two, yeah.
We'll make that right there. You got the lines right though, right?
I just wanted to make sure we're looking at the same drawing.
Okay. Okay, that's
So
okay
you
right
don't
now.
draw the hidden line of the hole, right?
We did. We did. We have.
The curvature of that channel then. Okay. I'm getting that now.
Okay.
Yeah, because the channel comes in and then the circle comes and does that. Okay. There's
So
no,
so far we've got it drawn correctly.
yeah, wait, give me just a second.
Okay. Now let's draw our keyway in here. So our keyway is going to be drawn in the top view right here. Okay. So from here, how far out do I come this way? Right here. If I had a line right here, how far would I come out here? And how far would I come in here?
0.22.
Okay, so draw your line now for the quadrant point here, coming up just like that. I'm going to offset this line 0.22 coming out, aren't I? Okay, so that gives me how far out it comes. Whoops. There. Now, how far up does it come?
122.
And how far down does it come?
122.
Exactly. Now I can create my keyway, can I? And then trim between here and here. There's my keyway right there. Okay. See how I went off my quadrant point? My quadrant point was the center of my keyway key, isn't it? Okay, now, super critical concept. Is this line here correct right now?
No.
It isn't, is it? Why?
Because of the QA?
Because of the keyway. I no longer have anything right here at the quadrant point, do I? I cut it out, haven't I?
But you have those sharp angles.
Right. And so what I've got to do is I've got to pull this point here down to here. That is my new hidden line, or this line here moves over to here, doesn't it?
Right.
So how are you going to do it? Redraw it all or what?
Extend it.
How about moving this from that point to that point right there? And then erase that line right there. I just moved it over. That makes sense? Sure. But this line now is lined up with that point right there, isn't it? Okay. Now to finish drawing this, I need to draw a line from here down to here, right? Now, would I go ahead and go through all the problems of extending it, trimming it, and changing it? Or is there a way of maybe making it in half the steps?
You can offset.
But do I know that exact distance?
No, but you can
No.
snap from one point to another point.
But I can copy
Specify
from
distance.
here to here, can I?
Right.
You bet. So copy here from that point over to that point right there.
Nice.
And there's your line right there. Do you see what I'm saying? It's already the right length, isn't it? Automatically for you. The whole concept that you've got to get through is CAD, make it as simple as you possibly can. If you have a line, copy that line. If you have a from point and a to point, copy it. If it's the right length and already on the right layer for you. Now we've got to draw this over in this view here now, our keyway, right? That makes sense?
How you going with that?
But all I'm doing is copying, space, space, copy, space, space. That's all I'm doing. So copy this line from here over to here. Why take time to trim that? That's what I just got finished saying. So copy this line here. So hit copy. CO. CO, enter. Pick this line here. Enter. Now pick that top point right there. Click it. Now move it over to there. Click it. Enter. Now E, enter for erase. Now pick this line here. Enter. You've got it all trimmed up, ready to go. See, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to get you to do, to change. If you have a line, copy that line over so you don't have to go trim, extend, change. Just copy it and you're there. Okay. Now, question for you on this keyway over here now.
Part of it is visible, part of it is hidden.
Exactly. From here to here is hidden. From here up to here is visible, right?
Right.
I'm just going to draw me another line. And then trim it like that. And pick both lines like that and change to hidden.
Did you project those over? I wasn't looking for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
These points here, I just projected here and copy, drew a line from there to there, space, from here down. That's
Okay.
as fast as hard as it is right there. Now, let's draw our circle in here.
I don't get how you get the dimension. How did you get the dimension?
For here,
No, for the circle offset down in the front view.
here,
Yeah.
that's that point right there. This one is that point right there. So critical concept now. So according to our drawing now, in our right side view, this hole now is offset 1.31 coming over here, correct? And it's up 1.25 right here. Okay? So let's do that. Let's offset 1.31. I'm going to come over from here over and offset 1.12 coming up. There's my center point for my hole, right? And then what size hole is it?
0.44.
0.44. Now, what's the width of my keyway? 0.44. So what would you assume this hole has to be?
Points of tangency.
Point tangency right in the center, right? So if you go ahead and draw a center diameter hole, if this is your center point of 0.44 now, and you scroll in there, is that tangent right there? Okay. Oh, I need to get this number. Hey, Courtney, how you doing? Good. You busy? Very, very busy, huh? What's the plan for you? We got that over there all the time. Well, that's what we can, but, now, we gotta get there and when you get a chance to
Yeah, let's do it, and then, first we need to get the latest, and then I'll make plans to have Marnell there, Monday, then, the Wednesday or Thursday, night there. And, so, you know, it's probably okay, I'm on Thursday anyway. Tuesday, Thursday, nothing's gonna get finished for that. Marnell there. Okay. And then I can do the first, I want to put the first on 1 hour. You know, so, yeah, we're all in there, so if we can do it, walk throughout Thursday and, go from there, okay? I appreciate it, okay? Okay, thank you. Bye.
Been trying to get a hold of that guy for a few days, so sorry. So you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so it's not on center.
It's not on center. Why isn't it on center?
Because the tolerances.
Because of the tolerances or the what? The overall precision.
Okay, what's the difference?
Well, if you have 2.63,
Okay.
if you added one more precision, what do you think that should normally be? What's the closest
What
fraction?
precision?
What fraction is close that rounded off to 2 decimal places? Which is equal to what? 5/8, right? Okay, so right here, you are 5 thousandths off right there, correct? Just because of the round off value. That's what I'm trying to get you to see.
So the tolerance, if it's a bigger tolerance, your precision goes down. And so in these drawings,
No, tolerance doesn't have any, tolerance has nothing to do with precision, with the round off.
Okay.
Your decimal there is 2.63, right? The width, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they told you that in the right side view, that from here over to here is 1.31, right?
Right.
Now, if that was centered, this would be 1.31 over here, right?
Yep.
If you add 1.31, 1.32, you get 2.62, right?
Oh, you do.
What did they tell you that was there? 2.63. Do you see the precision and your round off? That's what I'm trying to point out to you.
So they're leaving a little bit.
Well, it's there. It's there. How precise you want to get to. Okay? So we know that it should be 1.815. Is that right? Half of 2.63. Is that what that was?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's 1.31 on each side, but the overall they say it's 2.63.
So it's gotta be 1.315.
1.315.
So when we do.
So we're going to fix it now. We're going to fix it. I'm just trying to show you, if you have like 0.13, what do you think that really means? Rounded off in 3 decimal places, what do you think that would be? 0.125, right?
Or 0.135. 125, why would it jump down to 10?
What is this rounded off to 2 decimal places?
A quarter.
0.13, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Exactly. You see what I'm trying to get at? That's what I'm trying to get at. There's certain decimals that they're rounded off. If it's 2 places, you know that 0.63 is 5/8, 99% of the time rounded off to 2 decimal places. So I'm trying to bring it.
Looking at the bigger picture, like going, okay, the overall is allowing for this, and where we're pulling our little measuring tape off of from the left.
Okay.
Cool, and that's why we ended up to the left.
So, question, how would I fix this now?
You could delete it and then
Why delete it? We already have it drawn. Why delete it?
you could move it.
We could move it. How far are we gonna move it?
Just put the if your snaps on, you could move it to the intersection.
We could do that, couldn't we?
Yeah.
But what's our distance we want to move it?
0.005.
0.005, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So let's move it 0.005. Now, everyone remembers using the at command, don't you? That was drawing lines, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? We can move using the at command also. We want to move this hole here that way. So what's my angle? 0. What's my distance? What's my distance?
0.005.
Exactly.
You go at 0.005 less than 0.
Exactly.
And you hit move first as a command.
You always enter the command first. Remember the first day I've told you, you enter the command first.
Do you remember this one?
Select the object.
So move.
There's the current two areas.
Move
You can see it.
at
So I don't
0.05.
know if it's right.
Shift less than 0.
See how that moved that right over for me?
I don't know. It could like connected to my cursor was too close to it.
But I need ground.
Select object.
Enter.
Enter. Move my cursor away.
Pick a point now.
I get
For a
to
base point. So pick a point out here. Just pick a point.
Okay.
Go shift that. Shift less than 0. Enter. That's all you do.
Cool.
So with the add command, you can move. You can copy using the add command.
Oh,
Or than
cool.
just drawing lines.
Oh, you can copy. And
You bet you
project
can.
it in
You just-
different
you
angles
just-
and distances.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to do is you learn these now, try to use these commands now in drawing your object. Your whole concept in here now is to get faster at what you're doing. Now, a couple of things. How do we repeat a command? Space bar. You enter a line, draw a line, space, space, draw a line, space, space, draw a line, space, space, draw a line, space. Does that make sense? That's all I'm doing. That's why I'm so much faster. I'm just doing that. And that's what I want everyone in here to do. Try to get those space bars. Use that finger and hit that space bar to repeat commands. And so, okay? Okay, so that's centered now, right? So we've gone through and we figured out the whole concept. Now let's finish this drawing up. Because all I have to do is put a couple of lines right here, don't I? So we're going to draw a line now from here coming over to here.
So Mike, I missed the fact that did you draw the circle with 0.44 as diameter, or you did the tangent?
0.44 is the diameter.
Okay, I did that.
And then we moved it.
I did that, and my result is that I have gaps like that, not like you had.
Yeah, can I sit down for a second?
Absolutely.
Sorry for changing that. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
Okay, I want to just check a couple of things, okay?
not a quick drop down to get to that.
No. Okay. Now, draw a line now from
It looks spot on.
okay. Let's do one more thing here.
Yeah, I think that's screwed up by the way you use the metric. So we want to say here, so
So I'm gonna check it here.
ooh, 262.
That's why you're off.
How did that?
Okay. So now, technically, these should be hidden lines here also, shouldn't they?
Definitely should be the
Get the right layer here. Command here. Okay. Front view's finished now, right? As I'm sitting.
front view is finished. Top view is not.
I gotta put two hidden lines across here, right?
Yeah, since it's tangent, you can draw right from the start.
Exactly. Okay. That makes sense? So my drawing's 100% drawn right now, isn't it? Except for my chamfers.
You take the center lines out of your circle.
Yeah.
And then clean up the.
Yeah, I'll take those out. Okay, now, what we've got to do, and I'm not going to worry about putting my center lines back in right now. Well, I will. Let's do that. Let's insert.
Insert. You get more options. With blocks. How do you open up your blocks? Or do I just have to hit open on the top left?
Yeah. I don't have center lines on this one here. Yeah, I'll go in here. We got one down here.
Good. How did you go to insert again? To insert a new block? Open that up.
Just hit insert right there.
Insert and then what?
Then you have to find your center line.
Oh, I can't find. Oh, it's like ANSI B and rev block. More options. No. Yeah, I can't get that window to open up at the bottom right, like it usually does. Rev block.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
Save action block. Save.
I might have to retry. I don't think I have a center line on this side that I've saved. Well, anyway, you guys can insert your center line because you have that all created.
Yeah.
Let's finish this up so you can start working on this, okay? What we're going to do now is we're going to spread this out and we're going to put a cutting plane line in here, okay? So let's move these apart right here. Okay. So we're gonna put our chamfers on. So our chamfers we're gonna see in the top view, true size and shape, right? So go to fillet and find chamfer or just type in chamfer. Okay. Down here at the bottom, you see where it says distance and angle. What's our chamfer measurement size?
It's 0.31.
0.31 by 45, right?
Yep.
So what's our other chamfer distance size? If it's 0.31 one way, if it's 45, what's the other chamfer distance the other way? 0.31. So we can either use distance or angle. Which one do you want to use? The distance or the angle?
Distance.
Okay, come down here and click on the distance then. What's it asking me for?
Distance.
So what do I want to type in there?
0.31.
0.31, hit enter. What's my second chamfer distance?
0.31.
So just hit enter. Then what's it asking?
First line.
Take the first line, second line, space bar, first line, second line, space bar, here and here, space bar, here and here. There's your chamfers all drawn. See how easy that is?
Cool.
Now we have to draw them in the other views, don't we? So here, coming down here, here, hear me hit the space bar just to repeat my command. That's all I'm doing. And then trimming them up. Here and here, build a window there, window there. Here and here, build a window there and a window there. And then erase and pick those two lines. Now I've got to pick these lines. There, there, and there. And change them to hidden. So right now, if I were just drawing a 3-view drawing, my drawing would be 100% correct right now. Is that okay to say?
Well, on the front view, is it more important to show the object line rather than the hidden line?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting to right now.
Oh, okay.
If I were just drawing a standard 3-view drawing, this is what it would look like. All the drawings we've done up to this point, this is what it would really look like. No, these would be excuse me, these would be solid lines because we'd see them in the front. Yes, yes, you're right.
And on the
right side,
the right
yes,
side.
you're correct on that. You're correct, 100%.
Wait, so they would be solid.
Yes. So it would be like this here, basically. That one, and that one, and that one.
But we're doing a section view though.
Exactly. That's how it'd look if you were doing the traditional front, top, right side view. Okay? That makes sense?
And yeah, and then we wouldn't draw the hidden line behind that exact line anyways.
Because an object line is more powerful than a hidden line. Yeah. Okay, but now we're going to make this into a section view drawing. So we're going to add a cutting plane line coming right through here. And what that's going to tell us is what's down here, we're going to remove, and we're going to draw what we see if we rotated that top view down into the front view position. So what I want everyone to do right now, and even if you don't have this all finished, create your cutting plane line with me right now, okay? I want you to offset, first of all, these two lines out 5/8 of an inch. So come out 5/8. So offset 0.625. So come here, out 5/8, and here, out 5/8. Are we good there?
Just a second. Okay.
Now, I want you to draw a line from the midpoint of this line to the midpoint of this line, which will go right through the center, correct? From there to there. Okay? We good so far?
Good.
I want you to offset this line here up 5/8. So we came 5/8 out, and I want you to go 5/8 up. So offset at 625 and come up 5/8. Now I want you to trim, using this as your trim line, get rid of that little area and that little area there. Get rid of the bottom area here, and then erase that line right there. See how you came down, over, and up right there? We're going to change that into our cutting plane line. So how far out did I go?
5/8.
5/8. How far up did I go?
5/8.
5/8. Does that make sense? Just remember, 5/8 of an inch. All you have to do. So what kind of line do we want this to be? Cutting plane line. So pick your 3 lines here and change it to a cutting plane line. Right there. Whoops.
Oh,
Now, if you look at this, am I right? There's my hidden line. And I said this is half of this right here, and it's approximately half of it, right? So you know you have the right line weight, line types. Because on a cutting plane line, we said it's a 1/4/8. For a hidden, it's an 8/16, 8/16, right? And that's what we've got. So we proved that we have the right line weights and types here. Okay. Now, on top of your cutting plane line, you have to put an arrow right here. So how long should your arrow be? What's the length of your arrow? 1/4 of an inch. Normally when we dimension, how big is our dimension arrow? 1/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slap a linear dimension from here to here and just come out here. How big is that arrow right now? 1/8, right? This is the one and only time I want you to explode a dimension. Don't ever explode a dimension except to get an arrow off of a dimension. Because what can I do to this arrowhead right here? If I want to make it a 1/4 of an inch, what do I have to do? I can scale it up 2 times. It becomes a 1/4 of an inch, doesn't it? If I scale it and multiply, scale it 2 times, from an 1/8 of an inch, it goes to a 1/4, right? If I times it by 2. So what I want everyone to do now here is explode this dimension right here. And then erase all but one arrowhead right there. We got one arrowhead right there. That easy enough to get that arrow in there?
What were you saying? Exploding dimensions can be bad because why again?
Because it's not associative anymore.
So it's like be careful when you do it.
Yeah, don't ever explode a dimension except to grab an arrow off for a cutting plane line. Okay?
Can we change its color to cutting plane color?
Well, if you put it on the right layer, it should be the right color.
Cool.
Now, do you see where it says scale right there? Everyone see scale? Okay, click on scale. What's it asking me to do?
Select object.
Select an object. Pick your line right there. Hit enter. What's it asking me for now? Base point. Where do you think would be a good base point to be? Maybe right there. Let's put there. What's our scale factor?
2.
2. So type in 2 and hit enter. And guess what it just did? It scaled it up 2 times.
Where's your base point?
Now we got to copy this. See how it scaled it up?
Yep.
Okay. Now we got to copy this now. So CO for copy. Pick this. Pick that midpoint, the same as your base point for scaling it. So grab that point right there and put one at the end of that line right there and one at the end of that line right there. And guess what? You've got a cutting plane line there.
Huh.
That's how you create a correct cutting plane line.
So how'd you get the arrow?
I pulled up a dimension, exploded it, and scaled that arrow up. That's, remember, it's the one time I told you could explode a dimension?
I did explode it.
Did you scale it?
I'll explode it. So you moved the arrow out or copied it out?
So explode it and delete all the other parts except for one arrowhead. And then scale that arrowhead up 2 times. Okay, now, what this is telling me, the arrows tell you the direction you're viewing. So, if I were to draw this right here, this is my top view right here, isn't it? My front view right here. The arrows say that I'm removing this bottom half and I'm viewing that from here up. Does that make sense? And so my front view now, I'm going to rotate that down like that, and I'm going to draw what I see now from my top view and my front view. See, if you had your arrows going down, you would be removing that, and you would be looking at it from this way, the back side in, which these would still be hidden, wouldn't they, if the arrows went the wrong direction? Does that make sense to you? That's why an inventor does it automatically for you. That's why I had to go up and down. You saw that arrow flip directions, right? So you got to have your arrow in the right direction. But the arrow is the way you're viewing that object. Okay. So now, what happens to all these hidden lines now? Now remember, we're removing this all right here, aren't we? Okay.
They become object lines.
They all become object lines. What happens to these 2 lines right here?
They go away
They go away. Why?
because you don't see those in.
That's right. There are these
Direction
lines
arrows
back
point.
here. They'd be hidden lines, right? But now we erase
So they would be hidden lines.
that one there. And then all these now become object lines because we see it now. Right there. That's what we see with that part cut right in half, isn't it? Everyone okay with that visualization right there?
Yep, give me just a second. Get that with you. And then we'll add those chamfer corners as hidden lines again.
The what?
Will we add those chamfers as hidden lines again?
No, there's no hidden lines in a section view. No hidden lines, period.
Period. Oh, okay, cool.
If you put it in there, it's wrong. because you don't want to see it. You just want to see what you physically see when you cut that in half. Just what you see
Gotcha.
only. Because now you can dimension, and you can have as many cutting plane lines as you want to do different sections of that. Now you can dimension it because you can dimension to object lines, not the hidden lines.
Okay,
That's why you
point
do.
of this is to
That's the whole
eliminate
point, to see the
hidden
inside
lines.
of something so it becomes object lines.
Okay.
So you can physically see it.
Cool.
Okay? Now, to hatch this, wherever you cut, if you were to put a knife through there, wherever a knife would touch material, it has to be hatched. But if it doesn't touch it, you don't want hatching there. So in the middle of the hole doesn't touch it, does it?
The middle of it doesn't know, but the sides do.
The sides do, so that we want that hatched. So what do you think the command is to hatch it? Hatch.
Oh, wait, hatch. I thought you meant to turn it into the.
So type in hatch. H-A-T-C-H. Hit enter. Now the neat thing about it is all you have to do is come in here and click, click, and click. And that's your hatching. Now, the only problem you can get into with hatching is this. If you have a little open area, let's say that line here doesn't go exactly up to that top line, you didn't trim it off right, it won't hatch it for you. Because it views that as if there's a little open, as you trying to hatch the universe. Okay? So if you get an error that says it cannot hatch it, it means that you have a little open area. If you zoom in close enough, there's a little open area right there and it won't hatch it. So just type in hatch. And then just click the area. Click it there, there, and there. You got it. That makes sense?
Yep.
Now we can dimension it just normally now. Okay. So now, if you wanted to actually see what your line weights are now, click on this 3 line right there, and you can see that this is a fatter line than your object line, right? So you can check yourself to make sure before you run a plot that you have all your right lines on the correct layer.
So the hatch would be on the cutting plane layer still.
Oh. We need to make a new layer for hatch lines.
Oh, nice.
Sorry about that. We got to go back. We got to, in this drawing, we need to make a new line type for hatch lines. Hatches are 0.4.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry about that. So let's go back to layer.
Can we change this in our template?
Sure
or
you
is it
can.
Too late.
Well, you're drawing on a regular drawing file, aren't you?
I saved it as this drawing.
Okay, that's fine. So you're going to change it twice. You're going to change it here, and you're going to go back in your template and create it.
Okay.
Good practice for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's type in layer. Go to that first box right here, and just call it hatch. I can spell. And I'm going to
Did
change.
you insert a new layer?
What?
Did you do a new layer called
Yeah.
hatch?
I haven't used red yet, have I? So there's red. So there's the color. We want continuous, but the line weight you want 0.4. Okay. Now what I've got to do here now is come in here and click that and change.
0.4, not 0.04, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I select the hatching, and then I move the layer. What was I?
not actually up here, we're actually down here.
Here, that hatch.
Huh?
The red. You already did it. That is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see Centrelines? You can't, I put mine in. After I was. This one. This one circle.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so good point brought up. In a section view, this is a section view, isn't it? Center lines, it is not a requirement to have center lines in, but a lot of people put them in because of clarity. So I always put center lines in my hatched, my section view. Okay, and you can get those easy enough. You can just project it down, can't you? Okay. Now, if you put a center line in that top circle, if I had my center line here,
How are you able to get that bottom right window open, Mike?
this one here,
Yeah, I'm unable to get that open.
I just went to insert.
I click insert and it just pulls up this little down bar. You type in insert?
Hit the down bar then. And you can hit define attributes.
Oh, browse. I'm gonna hit browse. Is it DXF? Is the block?
DWG.
Okay.
Okay, so what I could do now is I actually found one, so I'm going to move this one here from there to there. I'm going to offset now. How far does the center line come out beyond here?
Quarter inch.
Quarter of an inch. So just offset that. Extend that center line up.
Got exploded.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay, now, what do you see wrong with that right there?
Some overlap.
Some overlap. How many lines should you have on top of each other? None. None. So, another concept here. A cutting plane line actually takes the place of a center line where the cutting plane line is. So we would delete the center line that is underneath our cutting plane line. You want to leave your vertical one here in this situation, but our horizontal one we're going to go in and we're going to delete. So it's just like that. Okay. So you've got your drawing ready to dimension right now. And then this drawing is 100% finished. So I'm hoping that on some of our drawings, some of you maybe make the mistake and don't do a round off. We have to fix it. Does that make sense? That'll kind of drive the point home that we did this drawing for. Okay. But I want you just to be aware of that because that's the number one problem they have in designing out there is that round off factor that you use. It's huge out there. You can see why now, can't you? Okay. Do you guys need help dimensioning this drawing or can you go ahead and dimension it on your own? is we can go ahead, let's do this because another concept we'll teach you here. First thing was our hole we put in, right? Okay, so what you have to do now on this is we have to dimension our hole up in our top view right here, correct? And so what we did is we went from here to here. Okay, now a lot of you are going to do that right there. And is that right or wrong? Is this right or wrong?
Did you explode the center line and then just delete the horizontals?
You have to explode the center line in order to extend it to get you a 1/4 of an inch, don't you?
Yeah, it's like I got up to 1/4 inch. Did you delete the horizontal of the center line then?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so something like that.
So what's wrong with this dimension right here? It's too close to here. How far away should this be? 0.5, right? But what I did though is this. I went and did a linear, went from here to here, then I moved down here in reference to here, and then went 0.5, right? Now the first time it didn't work, did it? I did that exact same thing. This time it worked. Okay?
Started at the center line, or why did it work?
Didn't you see me do it?
The first time you went from the corner of the
I
outside.
did it exactly the same way.
Oh.
It didn't work the first time, it worked the second time.
What changed?
I don't know.
Oh,
That's what I'm
really?
saying. If something doesn't work, try it again.
Okay.
That's what I'm exactly telling you that.
Okay, cool. I thought, for some reason I thought that the computers were without flaws. So.
No, don't ever believe that.
Okay.
If you believe that, you'll be in trouble.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that a statement, a correct statement with everyone? If you believe computers are without flaws,
I always said computers are dumb. They need everything explained to them.
Okay.
exactly.
Wow. Okay.
But we are coming up on the age of AI, so
Okay, now, question for you. So this is a 1/2 inch, right?
Yeah.
To get my up and down, where am I going to go a 1/2 inch away from what? From here? So if I put a linear dimension now for the center line, which would be right here to here now, see, that didn't work there. If I put this out a 1/2 inch right there, does that look correct?
Should be a 1/2 inch off our cutting.
Exactly. Huge point. One, a lot of students have a really hard time. It's a 1/2 inch off your cutting plane line when you go in your with the cutting plane line. So we got to be a 1/2 inch from here out, not from our object. See, we're cutting our cutting plane line, right?
So I can't get my that first dimension that we tried twice. I can't get that to click to 0.5 out.
That's how it should be right there. Then offset this line a 1/2 inch and go to that line.
Oh, okay.
Another way of doing it.
But sometimes you just have to do it that way when AutoCAD doesn't want to cooperate.
Exactly. You see how this is? It's a 1/2 inch out from your cutting plane line out. So don't make that mistake on your drawings when you turn in, okay? Now we're going to put our diameter of our hole in here. And everyone knows how to fix this right here, don't you? Click it, and click it again, and then drag the center out. My ortho's on, so I can put it anywhere I want. Right there. That makes sense? Now, Is my drawing 100% right now?
We need to dimension the QA.
Okay, just on these dimensions right here. What do I have on there that's wrong? Just for those three dimensions, there's something that it put on there that's wrong. Anyone pick it up? Let me ask you a question. I come in here and my center mark, now remember, this should be a 16th, right? Everyone okay with that? How long should this be here?
Quarter.
An 8th. The up and down. The up and down one should be an 8th, right? Now, is that proportionate there? So what do I have to turn off? You put that little X right in the center, right? That's called the center mark. How can I turn the center mark off? No. Go to annotation and go to dimension styles right there. Okay. Go to modify. Go to symbols and arrows. See center mark right there? Hit none. Now hit OK. Set current close. Now it's back to what it should be. Does that make sense? Okay. Now it's right. Okay. Okay. Now I'm trying to show you all the mistakes that all the students make so that you will hopefully learn and not make mistakes yourself. That's why I'm trying to show you all these things. Okay. Now let's go ahead and dimension our keyway right here. So we want just a note right there telling us the size of the keyway, right? So it's not a physical dimension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a leader. See where it says leader right there? So you're going to go to leader right here. Let's pick that midpoint right there and come right out there, or I could go right through there if I wanted to. You want to go there or out here? Which one do you like the best? Right there? Yeah. Okay, let's go there. Now type in your information. So we want to type in 0.44 by 0.22 keyway. Does that make sense? So just type it in. 0.44 space X space 0.22 keyway. That makes sense to everybody? And that's with the leader. Then hit enter, and then escape, and yes.
Okay, I'm having a little difficulty here.
But now we got to fix this thing here too. What? 44 space X space 0.22 space keyway. It's just like that right there. That's exactly what we're doing. Now hit escape. Yes. That's all we're doing.
And then this should be a text under text, right?
So what?
That should be my text color.
No, leave it on your dimension.
Okay.
Now, everyone got, what does my text look compared to this text right there? Should all be the same size, shouldn't it? It's a dimension, right? But it looks bigger, doesn't it? I don't ever want you to turn a drawing in if your dimension and text are different heights. okay?
Wait, what? Your dimensions? and your-
This text right here is higher than that, right?
Yeah.
It's wrong. I don't want you to turn it like that. So, question for you now. Let's fix this. Now, does this look very good being underlined also? We want it in the middle here. That makes sense to you? That's where it should be, is in the middle. Okay, so we're going to fix all that. So I want you to go to annotation. So everyone go to annotation. Hit the down arrow key. Okay. Now the very first box is your text style, dimension style. What's the third one?
Multi-leader style.
Multi-leader style. This is a leader we're putting on, isn't it? So I want you to go into that multi-leader style right here. Now, doesn't this look very similar to your dimension style?
Yeah.
So what do I do? Modify. Okay, now we only have 3 tabs instead of 7 tabs, right? But what do we have on our leader format? How long should our arrow be, do you think? 0.125. Okay. Now, that's really all you need to do on this one here, this tab, leader format. Just change that to 0.125. Go to leader structure. Now, the landing. This area, that length right there is called the landing. I usually make mine 0.25. You could get that landing so long it looks funny. That's why I just stick mine at 1/4. Okay. Now, go to content right here. Okay, in here now we come, what should our height be? 0.125. Now, this is where we can change this line under here. This we want to come in the middle right here, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so if you look right here, this is leader connection. This is the leader coming up here, how it's connecting into this. It says, so the right attachment is underline top line. We want that to be the middle of the top line, don't we?
Why not middle of text? Like,
Where's middle? Okay, let's look. Okay, if we hit middle of text and hit OK, and then set current and close.
it works for me.
Okay, it's probably because I hit enter. Okay, that's probably the reason why. That's why I go middle of top line, and I know it's always going to go to the middle of the top line. Okay.
So left attachment, middle of top line, right attachment, middle of top line.
Yeah.
And hit OK, set current.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes it in the center as well.
And the gap, the landing gap, is the distance between your text and that line right there. It's that 0.09. That makes sense?
And we're okay
This
with that?
0.09, and you're fine with that. You're fine with that.
And so now it's going it's not underlining or anything, it's just going to this side of it.
Right. And how high is your text? The same as your dimension, isn't it?
Mine looks like that's smaller than mine is the same size before.
Well, then you didn't change this to 0.125. You left it at 0.188 in your template. It should have changed.
What? No, but it's going to save it wrong every time on my.
Then you need to go back to your template and fix it.
Can you go through my template with me and show me how to do it again? Because I don't know why we changed it so much. No, not now. We'll do it in a sec. So I need to change, in this one, I need to go annotation, dimension, style. Yeah.
No, don't touch the text.
That's all you need for your keyway note.
Why are these?
That is it.
smaller?
So now what you got to do is you need to do our slot here, right? What we did with their slot now is we went from here to here and made that 0.5. And then from here to here and came out here like this right here. Exactly right, correct? So there's your slot, and then we have to give a dimension, a linear dimension now from like here. Now I could actually do this one from here to here if I wanted to, couldn't I? I could do that, couldn't I?
Oh my God, I did.
And then I'm going to want to go from here to here, and then put this down here. And from this point here, up here, and take them over here. And then do a diameter. And then you pull him right through there.
We don't have a center line on
No,
that?
I didn't put my center line in. You'll need yours. I'm just showing you where I put my dimensions. Okay. And then I'm going to end up with. Now, if you try to put a dimension on a section view, zoom in. Make sure you zoom in so you don't actually accidentally grab on the end of one of your section lines. Does that make sense? So you have to zoom in to get that. So I want to go from this point here up to this point here and then come out 0.5. And then I'm going to put my other one right here. And line him up with there. And now I've got to put another depth in here. I don't want to put it here, here. Maybe I'll put it here. So that's probably how I would dimension it right there. But you'll have your center lines in there and everything. Okay.
Except I got a question on the keyway on the right side view. Will the center line be
Extending all the way through.
extending all
Yes.
the way,
Yes.
extending 0.25
Yes. Yes.
beyond the borders of the object?
Exactly. Okay. I probably should have put my center lines in, but I didn't.
That's what I'm doing right now.
But the hardest thing students have to grasp is it's a ½ inch away from your cutting plane line, if you have a cutting plane line. Okay?
Yeah, and like you said, it doesn't always work.
Yeah. And if you want, you can just offset this line a ½ inch. If you wanted to get exactly ½ inch away and just give you a line to go to. You can always do that too if you want to.
So it's a ½ inch from the first, and then is it 3/8?
3/8 for each additional one. So from here to here should be 3/8.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have enough space, so see, 3/8 is probably about more right in there. Okay. That looks kind of hard to read, doesn't it? So maybe what I would do is maybe I could pull him up here just a little bit. You can move your text around a little bit to make it more readable. And how do I get rid of my leading zeros here? Back to annotation right there, right? Modify, and these will be in primary units and zero suppression, leading right there. Hit OK, set current, close, and all my leading zeros now are gone.
And is our precision to the thousands or hundreds?
Now, so what should they be on this drawing?
I would say they need to be 3 dots.
On this drawing, there's only one
thousands.
that's 3, right? So I'm going to change them to 2 decimal places, and then I'll just physically go in and change the 1 to 3. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we could go to annotation right there, modify. We're at primary units, right?
Actually,
Precision.
there are 2 that are 3 decimals.
Okay, but that's going to change in about 10, right? So this one here has to be changed. So go to properties and just change the precision down here to 3 on that one there. Which other one's 3?
The 1.32 for the center of the circle and the diameter.
So this one here now needs to be changed.
Yes,
You can
1.3.
see, right?
Yeah.
Wait.
Should 2.63 be a basic dimension?
We're going to just overwrite that one. Okay. Because the design intent, we should have changed that one up front also. Okay. Put this one here now.
Mine's doing like a leader to my dimension. Like where it can't fit.
That makes sense?
So on these 2, this one and this one, this is like a leader.
Yeah, that's part of the dimension.
Okay, though.
Well, you want to change the gap right there. So click on this dimension. Right click, properties, change that, scroll down one to the, so you have right here the 0.09 right there. Change that to maybe 0.03. There you go.
Okay, I did that on the other one. It didn't do it.
Well, there's not enough room to put it in there then.
So that leader's okay.
Yeah.
That's
So now, here's the way it fixes it.
the arrows on the outside of it.
Click here, grab there, bingo, you've got the text on the inside.
Wow, cool. Thanks.
So again, don't be afraid of touching it, moving it, see what it'll do. That's how you're gonna learn it, okay? So, go ahead and stick this one onto your drawing. Don't forget your hash marks.
And then you want a center line on the hole in the slot,
So
right?
okay.
Right, Mike?
So what?
You want a center line, center mark in this hole, right?
Yes, it has to have this hole.
What if you change precision?
Okay, 3. So just go down to,
It's still not working.
scroll down, no,
Son of
go
a-
down to, right there, right there. Right up there, down, okay. And change it to 3. You got it. Okay, does that make sense? So you take what the overall inventory dimensions are, change that. So the next one we're going to do is the lever hub. So go ahead and draw, you can start on the lever hub. Now, if you don't get 100% finished, be sure you take a picture of that so you can actually have the dimensions where they go. Okay?
Hey, Mike, so when you're done, the center point is like kind
So
of,
go out to your circle.
so
So draw a line. So scroll in there. A little copy. You can drop your center point. So copy. Don't pick it first. Enter the command first. And then pick enter. I'll pick the midpoint of that. Turn your snap off. Get rid of that snap right there. just want to go to the center point, right? Yep.
Ah,
There. Now, scroll down there. Now go to your circle. Go out your circle. Now come in. You got it. Just something you have to do. Just something you have to do.
Glitch. Okay, so you drag it out and then drag it in.
Just go out, highlight, and pull it, and it'll pick your center point.
Wow. Okay, cool. Now we offset that.
Yeah. Yep, you got it. Oh, it's good. You don't get maybe this. Maybe this. Maybe one. That's good. There, that was right there. You want to stay with it. Yeah, that's right. And then you have a center line in here. You come up. Yeah, okay. So exposure to center line. Oh, gosh.
Mike, do I want this 0.5 to instead be aligned with this?
It should,
0.5?
because that should be a ½ inch down too, right?
Well, this is ½ inch from
No,
this,
no,
from the
no,
center
no,
line,
no, no, you don't do that. You don't do
not
that.
from the center line.
No, 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 no. It's from your object.
But when I type in 0.5, I think it by default takes
If
the,
you go
takes the-
here to here,
take-
0.5, yeah, but if you went from here to here, 0.5, you put a ½ inch from your object.
Ah.
It depends on
reverse
the order
order.
that you pick your points.
Reverse order.
Okay.
After we put that center point in, now I have to drag my dimension line from the center to an eighth of an inch or
Offset
16.
that a quarter now.
I did that. I turned that off a quarter. Okay. But now my dimension line is
Right.
okay.
Just right.
That looks okay. I just drag it out and approximate it at 16.
Right, it's all set up when you dimension.
So I can redimension. Because before you have dimensions straight to the center. My dimension
Right,
is
I
straight
just
to the
didn't
center.
have my center line.
Right. So I just click from the center.
Well,
line
if you
dimension
move that
line.
out to the endpoint, then your dimensions start at 6/16. That's set up. That's a vertical you
clicks it.
set up.
So I just click and drag it, and from this dimension here, it gets snapped to 16.
Yeah.
Okay. So good then.
Okay.
The thing color means just the diameter of that, and it's this color. Center line.
Mm-hmm.
So you want us to do letterbox or?
This one here. We'll do this one. Wednesday. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, what about here? Do I want this to line up with
No,
this?
no, no, ½ inch from here.
Just
So it's a little different, you know, when you have just a section drawing. Okay?
Michael, you said, we'll be doing the lever hub
Lever
on
hub.
Wednesday?
Yes. We'll do that one, and then we'll do this one. So on Wednesday, when you come in, I won't lecture on Wednesday, but we'll do the lever hub and the, what's that one? The stuffing box?
Yeah.
The stuffing box on Wednesday. Okay?
uh,
So you go right to work on Wednesday, and I'll just help you out on Wednesday. Okay?
Oh,
On the other handout.
the other paper.
So make sure all your lines are on the right layer and everything, okay?
Since we didn't, did you guys get a degree on the chamfer though? Did you guys do the?
Oh, we didn't do the chamfer. Oh, add the chamfer there, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I forgot that one. Sorry about that.
We can just do.
we'll just do one of them and stick
Can you
4x.
just do a 45 and that's enough? Is that the 45, 45?
Like
ID?
the typical,
So 45 typical, is that what that means?
but then you have to have a distance too, don't you?
I guess it's 45 from both. Oh, actually show me, because I'm.
Well, look, if you go,
No, it's distance and angle.
So yeah, it's like the distance and an angle.
The same,
if you go here like that, and you just put a 45 here, Does that give you all the information you need to know? You gotta have a distance along with it, don't you? How far over? Because I could have that 45 there. I could have it there, there,
Oh, right.
there. Right? I gotta have a distance along with it.
Will TYP be analogous as
Yes.
4X?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, okay, now,
Yeah, I'm trying to fix it right now.
so right click,
Yeah.
drop the.
It's just that once I added TYP, it jumped out.
Oh. Try 20, right there. Now, maybe what I would do on this is maybe I would put this, have my angle coming up here. Because of those, that way it won't run into that dimension there. Or I could just put a note on my drawing and say all chamfers this in a note and not even have to dimension it out my drawing. So that's an acceptable way.
I think in this case, an actual
Now,
dimension-
look
an actual
down here
dimension
now.
is-
So look right here. It says fills and rounds.
Right, I know.
Here, we could add another note in here and put all chamfers. Unless
Right.
otherwise noted also on here. And then we wouldn't have to dimension that.
But it's more visible. on
It's
the-
more yes,
on the-
yes.
on the drawing.
I'm saying technically we could get away with it if we
Right,
wanted
right.
to, if we had to. Okay? Did you get a picture of that? Okay. You okay with this then? I think if you have this, you can pop through it. What questions do you have?
Fast. And now I gotta go home and figure it all out.
So,
But you
what
need to
points
go
are
about
going too fast on?
half the speed that you go.
Kirk, you can watch my recording.
But I'll get it put together.
Okay. But you understand how I'm drawing my lines over there, right?
I think mostly, but I'll have to figure some of the stuff out. 'Cause I don't have this. My school box there.
Yeah.
Don't know where it goes. Don't know where these lines are coming from. I've got lines.
They're from the center of the hole. I shouldn't put my center mark in there. I shouldn't put my center mark in there. That's all I do.
In other words,
The hole. You just move the hole.
Oh, I don't like it. It's 4X.
And that was why I went through that to show you that if you have something like 0.63, realize that's probably a rounded number.
Hey, Mike, do I need to write typical on this to meet?
On just one of them.
But I do need to write typical on an angle, or it doesn't matter.
Either one.
So this is okay to do. That was all right.
Yeah. I put that typical on one of them.
On just one, this one, or this one.
Either or.
And then how would I write that? So I go quickly. Yep. Period. Dot.
And then grab it and then move it out. Grab the center one. Move it out. No, not that, the center one. Now just move up to the side. See how it's put outside?
And that's okay right like that?
Yeah, it should be a half inch away now still.
No, I totally screwed up now.
That makes sense?
With that. It lines up with that.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Right?
Can I grab the 3-1 and put it back in? Or is this okay?
Do we need
Yeah.
a center line here?
I would put one. Yeah. And I would put one right here.
Yep.
Okay. It's not a definite requirement, but I always put them in.
Yeah, no,
I think it's good. It's a good
That's why I
practice to
asked
put
because
them in.
I felt like they
Yes.
needed to be there.
It's a good practice to put them in.
And then the next one we're working on.
We'll do 2 on Wednesday, but you won't have to listen to me.
What do you mean? I like listening to you. Without you, I'm lost. I'm nothing without you, Mike. And seriously, without you, I'm so lost.
that's what I want you to do. I want to see where you need your real help on, you know, and just go for it.
Let's see, I was stack going last time.
Oh, we did the tool holder and index feed. They're up front here somewhere over on that. I think they're over on that pile somewhere. I think I put a whole bunch of them over there this morning. So you don't see what this? Yep. Nope, either way. Okay, so now. Nope, you have it here. So this goes down. Now, I would probably put this file here, just so it's tight together at this hole. It's better.
Oh, we're gonna do it next class. You know, the tool holder index feed though. Last class. We've done that one.
There.
Tool holder index feed.
See, otherwise they would put this text over here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So then all you do is you come back to here, type in 25. And then come. So, here, here,
I don't have an intersection
and then
point
it's
to
going to
do.
be 5 plus 0.31.
I do, thank you,
right?
Lord.
There you go. You want 0.81? Because I take this point here and then this point
What?
here, right? And it's 0.31 down here, so 0.5 plus 0.31. And now we put it there, but now let's change this gap here, right? This is our property. Now, down here now, let's find out 0.09 right there. That one. Change that to 0.03. Enter. There you go. Now, does that look better? Yeah. You got rid of those off lines going out now. Have the typical there, and then group. That makes sense now? And then change, make sure you change, are those on your dimension layer? They probably are, but these need to be put on your dimension layer. Okay? You bet. Make sure it's 1-to-1 now. 1-to-1.
Yep. And then just to get it on the screen, I just need to move it to
Then,
model.
yeah, now go back to model here, and maybe move the top down just a little bit. For the bottom too, up, doesn't matter, you know. Don't go quite so, maybe, now go back and see what it looks like here. That makes sense? Now you can move everything up and over a little bit, right? There you go. There you go.
Okay. I forgot how I did that. Name on the bottom or name on the top?
Doesn't matter, as long as you put the name of the title of the drawing.
I just, okay, cause there's only one drawing I switched up.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep basic about it though.
That makes sense, okay? Have it coming. Okay, so.
Why do I need to fix this one, huh?
It doesn't give you diameter, it gives you how wide. Right there. So it's a column, so it's a yeah. Okay. So what you've got here is support right so far, except for we've got this circle, that one right here. This thing the other that right.
Son of a. Jeez. There. You leaving?